Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. This is going to be a homestead update in June. So today's June 3rd, 2022, and we got beautiful weather here in central Oklahoma. It's overcast. We've had a cool front come through, and with that it brought a lot of rain. There was a band of storms that it went from one end of the state to the other, and it just traveled in a straight line. And we got some of that they really got hit hard farther to the north of us, and they got pounded with rain. We got some high winds here, and we've had some wind damage. So I'm gonna try and keep this video a little shorter than some in the past. I'm just gonna show you right in here in this area, and mainly the garden. The garden's starting to look pretty good. So I'm gonna show you some of the wind damage and what's going on in the garden. Yeah, so we had like some 60-mile-an-hour plus winds hit, and this cherry tree got taken out, and it was starting to die anyway. As you can see, this side, the leaves are all brown. So the graft on this tree has not looked very good for at least 2 years, and that's where it broke off. It had been oozing sap, and you can see where I put some tape on it, but it just snapped off right on that graft. But, I put some of that tape around it to kind of protect it, and that probably got it as far as it did. But I'm not sure the variety on this tree. And we got cherries off it last year, and that's basically it. And we didn't get a whole lot. But yeah, so the cherry tree didn't make it. Still got some nice comfrey going here. Looks like the honeybees are out on it. But I ordered a couple of cherry trees off eBay. We'll see what they turn out to be. They're supposed to be bings, but see if I can get it replaced. And I got another empty tree spot over there from a fruit tree that died, and I'll put the other one right there. So still got the fruit hanging on. Got peaches, and I gave them 1 dose of neem oil. I think I was too late though, and some of these you can see have a little hole in them, so they're going to be wormy probably. So here's a pear tree. And this, I think, is another pear. Yeah, got a few pears on there. And this is an apple. Looks like we have a few little apples there. And this peach tree right here had been dropping some peaches. Yeah. So you can see almost every one of these has a little hole in the side. And when I saw there were several peaches down here on the ground, you know, little ones. And when I saw that, that's when I hit it with the neem oil. That's neem oil, not neem oil. Yeah, you can see that one's got a hole in it right there. But they're starting to grow, getting some size to them. So maybe we'll get a few out of here. So let's go on down here to the garden. So real quick, I want to show you one thing that my project my wife started. So Let's take a look at this real quick. So my wife found these planters on Facebook Marketplace. So she showed me, she texted me the picture of them from the article, and I was like, yeah, I think I can get those on my two-wheeler. And there was nothing in the picture with any perspective, so I pictured these as about half that size. So yeah, these things are freaking huge, and they weigh at least 500 pounds a piece, at least. We had to drive 2 hours way down south east of here by Lake Texoma, and the guy luckily had a tractor. I couldn't even push it over on its side. They're that heavy. So I was gonna like tilt it up, you know, with my two-wheeler under it and upside down like that, and wheel it up this ramp on my trailer. I couldn't even push it over. Luckily he had a tractor, and I was able to get a chain around this. I had a chain in my truck, and he had a little John Deere, and it lifted him okay, and we got him up there. That's 3 weeks ago, and that's still where they're at. So I'm going to so I got a tractor too that'll lift them, but I'm going to use forks. I got some forks over there under the boat that bolt onto my front end loader, and I'll put my forks, you know, out over this, and I'll try and get it where I can lift it from a centered position, and set them out here, and then I'll use the tractor to turn them over, and then I'll try and do that same lifting technique from the top. And what the forks are going to do is give me some reach, so up at the house when I go to put them in, I think she wants them on the front porch. So there's sidewalk there. I'll put some 2x12s down to drive over, so hopefully we don't crack the sidewalk. And I'll just be able to drive up there and set them down. But I got to make sure I can get a good lifting rig to rig it where it can lift straight up, and so just go from there. So okay, back to the tour. I call this the big garden. So look at that, no weeds at all. There's a few growing up around this one row here where I got some bare soil, but that's easy to keep up with. So here we've got the asparagus. We're just letting it go, not harvesting off of that anymore. And over here we've got the tomatoes. So my tomatoes were doing pretty good until we started getting a lot of rain. And we've had over 5 inches of rain. I had 5.5 last I dumped the rain gauge. So these tomatoes down here are drowning. The ones on this end aren't too bad. But you get further down here where it's a little bit lower lying, and see how they're kind of turning yellow? They're just too wet. I'm trying, yeah, see how wet that is down there? The ones that are further down, I scooted this back to let them dry out. That is just sopping wet down in there. So yeah, it rained yesterday. Looks like I need to do that to all of these, just to help them to dry out some. You know, when you're watering, that's good. So I got my drip system on here. I got an emitter on each tomato, and I haven't watered in quite a while, so that's a 2 gallon per hour drip, and I run it about 10 to 12 minutes twice a day. Yeah, these down here, see, I had this cleaned out, so that's water has washed that up there. This was underwater. You can see this is not in good shape. it's probably going to die. And if it does, that's okay. I've got some other tomatoes I had extra from when I planted these up in the raised bed gardens up here, and they're too crowded. I just kind of stuck them in there just to keep them alive, and I can transplant those down here and get some healthier plants down in here. So the onions appear to be ready to harvest. It's too wet now, so they need to be about a week or two without rain. And I've got the irrigation on them turned off, so they're not getting any water except for this rain. And I think the wind blew most of these over. It wasn't, because they got ripe and they're ready. But, they look like they're ready, so we're probably going to harvest them pretty soon. Out in here, I don't have anything planted. This is just in case I need it for future. I did have a panel right here, but that went back up in the raised bed. The broccoli is done. So we've harvested it, and this netting here, this stuff worked really good. We didn't have any type of insect activity on the broccoli, and it did good. So I'm not a broccoli fan myself, but the wife, she likes it, so planted it for her. So we'll take one of these. These need to go to the compost or the chickens one, so I don't know. So it's going to seed there. So we'll pull one of these and take it up to the chickens and see if they're interested in it. Yeah, lots of nice green on there. If they're not interested in it, it's gonna go into the compost. Okay, now back over here in this row, this is cantaloupe. All these small plants. And there's one vine that came up volunteer right there. I just let it go. It's some kind of a melon. I don't know if it's a cantaloupe or if it's a watermelon. It appears from the leaves it's a cantaloupe because the leaves look like these. May just be a different variety. Oh, there's a weed. Oh, that was so terrible. That's about my extent of weeding down here. Got a few little sunflowers popping up. I'm just letting them grow. There's one there and one down at the end. So in all these little mounds, I have watermelons planted. And I think there's 20 mounds, and each one has that same 2 gallon per hour emitter on the drip line. It's running twice a day. So yeah, they all germinated and came out pretty well. I think I put 5 seeds in each one, and all of them had at least 3. So maybe might get us some watermelons. I put this little fence up to keep the armadillos out, basically, from coming in there and digging, and the little rabbits. They'll come in here and eat all this. So yeah, the watermelons seem to be doing good. I need to get a little bit of fertilizer on them. There's one of those sunflowers. Yeah, so that is I call this the big garden. So let's go up and take a look at the raised beds, and we'll take that broccoli up to the chicken. So I've got valves on all these different lines, so I can turn on, each one, the rows individually. Let's swing around the back side of the chicken pen and I'll show you some more wind damage. Yeah, so down there, the pond's full. At the end of the video, I'll do a walk around the pond if you want to stick around for that. Here's a branch. That's redbud. So I don't know where that came from. It must have came out of this. Here's a redbud tree. It's snapped off from somewhere. So here's a what is this? Apricot. Took me a minute. Now there's a few apricots in here. See, there's some on the ground. I wonder if they're ripe or the wind just blew them out. Well, that one's ate up with a bug. You guys want an apricot? I guess so. Polish girl got it. Yeah, I want to pick those up. So here's the other wind damage. This tree. This is a peach. And had quite a bit of weight on it from, you know, the peaches. But this limb split in the first windstorm, and I saw it. And at first it was just this limb right here that was laid out, but it split. Look at that. It split all the way down. And then this one fell over after that. So I don't know if I can maybe put a big hose clamp around this and at least maybe pull this one back up. Either way, we'll just leave it there and harvest peaches off of this if we can beat the raccoons to it, and get those, and then we'll trim this up. But it's going to be one ugly tree after that, because basically took out the whole side of the tree. All right, let's see if you guys like broccoli. There's Henny Penny. She just finished her round of shots. Been giving her Thailand. She's an old chicken, and her egg laying parts aren't working, so when she produces an egg, her body has to absorb it and it gives her an infection. So we're doctoring her for now. She's been hanging on. If she doesn't suffer and, you know, do really bad, we'll keep taking care of her. Okay. And she don't like green stuff. You guys want some of this? Well, they don't dislike it. Well, I don't know. They're spitting it out after they pull it off. I think the jury's out still. I'll leave it in here because they may work on it over time. They're probably waiting for Mama to come down and give them some of their little grubby worms. Well, that one there's taking it in. That's a whiting true blue. That dark one right there. She's eating it. Well, that one ate it too. That's an Americana. This one right here. I think they'll eat it. All right. Let's get over to the raised bed garden. So on the outside here, got the Dixondale onions here as well. So these are yellow granics and Texas super sweets. Look how big these suckers are. The size of my hand. That's a onion now. Man, look at those. Those are nice. And they're laying over too. Same direction as those others, which tells me the wind blew them over. So back behind them you can see the cucumbers coming up, and I have this panel back behind there for the cucumbers to vine up. The cucumbers are kind of being overpowered by those carrots behind them. I never had carrots greens grow so big. Usually my carrots petered out by now. Had spinach right here. The spinach has all been harvested, and chickens really like that stuff. And I had to plant this a second time because rains in March flooded that all out. So that's a second seeding, and been feeding some of that to the chickens. That's some really nice lettuce there. Been working on the front part with the flower gardens. The wife's planted zinnias, and she's doing everything she can with one arm. She just got back from physical therapy, and she's supposed to get her sling off next week. So it took us forever to get this all weeded because there was no weed suppression on it. It was just full of crabgrass. It all looked like that right there between those zinnias. I need to get in there and get that. That's a passion flower. Come up, volunteer. That's a big vining thing, so we need to transplant that. So that's what's growing up here. It's passion flower. And there's some in there on the green bean trellis that's growing flowers. They're really pretty. Strangest looking blooms you ever saw. It looks like something from outer space. Here they are right here. And bees like them. There's another one back there. So the passion flower is kind of taking this trellis over right here. So this is supposed to be for our Kentucky Wonder pole beans. It's going to vine up that so you can see them going right there, and they will fill that thing up. So I built this arbor in here, so probably in a month's time this is going to be a green tunnel, and the beans will just hang down and you just walk up in here and pick them. There'll probably be a few on the outside. And tomatoes are all along there. So we gave this spot a 2-year, maybe 3-year rest on tomatoes. And now we've got them back here again. And it's got this tall thing here I can pull string down from. And all these little hooks. So that's what those were used for at one time. And it's been pole beans for 2 years at least. So here's one of those tomatoes I was telling you about. I just stuck it in here. So I had that extra. Rather than just throw it out, I planted it there. So yeah, I can move that and transplant it down in the big garden. And there's a couple more out here. It's just going to get too crowded in here. There's my garlic. I think the garlic is getting close to harvest. We cut the scapes. There was one that escaped. It was still in here. Maybe I cut it off. But yeah, we cut the scapes off and stir-fried them and put a little soy sauce and mixed them with sunflower seeds. And man, that was good. It was very good. They have a mild garlic flavor. So there's this passion flower that's gone crazy. There's extra tomato, extra tomato, extra tomato, extra tomato. And this is all marigolds and zinnias. So that's just going to fill up and be an overcrowded mess. The tomatoes are going to get big, and so I may move those down there to the big garden. So back over here on this side, this is all sunflower. That space is basically vacant, so we just planted sunflowers in there. The bees tear them up when they get big. And this is just marigolds, I believe. I think she tried to plant something else from seed in here and it didn't germinate. But check this out. You guess what this is? This is cilantro, and it's bolted and gone to seed. But the leaves down here, that is really good in salsa. I like it anyway. At the right level. You can get too much, and it's really strong. And it's a genetic thing, but to some people, cilantro tastes like soap. And I'm not one of those people. So there's the carrots, sowed from seed. They still got a ways to go. So this soil has some black cow manure compost that you can buy. We got it at Lowe's. And that's the cucumbers. Cucumbers are looking a little yellow. Too much, it's too wet. So the cucumbers will come up over this, and by the time they start putting on, those carrots should be done, and we can get all those carrot ferns out of there. Here's an extra tomato. She puts some just to preserve the bulbs. I think these are lilies, and those are dahlias, and that's just a marigold that came up volunteer. And these girls keep the weeds away from the fence. They stick their head in there and they pull stuff up, which is kind of nice. They missed a spot right there, looks like. It's because that board is there. So here's more tomatoes. Looks like the wind got to them. I need to raise them up. That one's laying down there. But I saved the labels. So I got big boys and celebrities. And I think there's one better boy. Yeah, right there. And here's these from the other side. I think I got 5 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. These are the same variety, big boys and celebrities. Oh, there's a better boy. Looks like the better boys don't have as much foliage on them. I think they're all indeterminates. Over here, I'm gonna have some jalapenos this year. There's one right here. These are Fool You jalapenos, so they're not hot, not supposed to be. Yeah, that's a nice one. I've got 3 or 4 more up at the house, so I'm gonna make me some jalapeno poppers here for long. I bought some Russian sage this winter and I was having a hard time keeping it alive, and I have one that's just got one little barely piece of green left on it. So I planted it right here just to keep it going, and maybe next year I can transplant it. I was wanting to transplant it back here in the field and make a row of it for the bees to forage on. So I got all my drip system redone. I mentioned it last time I was making individual zones. I've got all that done. Here's some of my valves. And so this one turns on just this bed here. And the strawberries, this one goes outside actually to the front. Those front 2 beds with just the flowers, which I don't have any emitters in there yet, but I have it ran. And then down on the other end I have the valves that do just this line right here. And I didn't isolate this center bed here. It's all one circuit. So, but I do have the outside is like 5 or 6 individual zones. And strawberries, we got a lot of strawberries. We just pick them when they're ripe and freeze them, and so we have them ready to use. Wow, there's a big one that's getting ate by something. It's been so rainy, we haven't been able to get down here. Hey, chickie! They'll eat that up for sure. Now my hand's all sticky. Chives. And let me show you how I'm running my watering system. So I keep the hydrant right there turned on all the time. That PVC going into the ground comes actually over to here. And I'm using one of these Orbit timers. It works pretty good. I have had an issue twice with not shutting off all the way. And I think what the problem is, my well water has a little bit of sediment in it, and it's a little bitty Venturi type setup in there, so if anything that gets in that little spot, the relay turns off, but the water still is able to flow over that venturi and it won't shut off. The spring isn't strong enough to force it off. So anyway, I've got it set to every 12 hours, 12 minutes on all those 12-inch emitter hoses. Started at 5:30 in the morning. So that's how those work. And I also have a line coming over here to this watering thing, and it's hose reel and it's spring loaded. It's actually pretty slick. This is the second year for that. So you take it in the winter. You don't want to leave it outdoors in the winter. You don't want it to freeze. But I like it. It's a smaller gauge hose. So when you're running a big waterer like this, it's got all those, it doesn't really work that well. It comes out more of like a big stream. So I bought a couple more that are a little smaller to see how it works. It came with a little handheld one, but it shoots the water out too hard. So if you're watering seedlings, it'll just blast them. So that's why we switched to that other one. Yeah, so that's it. As promised, I tried to keep it shorter. Hope I didn't ramble on too much. But yeah, garden's looking promising this year. And I'll keep you updated on how it goes. If you want to see how the bees are doing, got all the bee videos going on. So go check those out. So been doing some splits and finding queens, not finding queens, all kinds of stuff. Check the honey. We have an excellent honey crop coming up, it looks like. So that is it. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. We got all kinds of stuff going on here at the Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. Y'all take care.